When I was in 2nd or 3rd grade my dad married a woman, my stepmom. I'll call her Brit. Brit and I never got along, and her and my dad were always fighting about being fair between myself and her sons, my stepbrothers. They always made sure we knew the same amount was spent on each of us every year for Christmas. We were cooked the same food. I remember this because I didn't like poached eggs as a 10-year-old, but Brit refused to make scrambled eggs for me instead. It was all so dumb, and I cringe at their behavior as a 30-year-old adult. I know my dad wasn't a perfect, attentive father, and he only had me every other weekend, but by the time I was in high school, 2010s, I decided to no longer visit on weekends, mainly because of how toxic their marriage was on me and my stepbrothers. I can get over arguments between them. I can get over how they each favored their own kids. But as an adult I found out that Brit was the most honest bitch I'd ever meet. In 2004, my grandma died in a car accident and I wasn't able to attend her funeral because it was out of state. One night, maybe a few weeks or months later, my stepbrothers were at their dad's house. Brit and my dad got into one of their usual fights that I try to ignore by disassociating and watching Drake and Josh, Ben 10 or some other shit. I was doing fine in the back room until I heard Brit call out my name, which was unusual. I started listening into the argument and heard Brit say, "You hear that, OP? She didn't die in a car crash, she fucking killed herself." Obviously, she was just being mean to me in order to hurt my dad, so, of course, I didn't believe her. Until a couple years ago, my wife and I were spending a holiday at my aunt's house, and at one point we were talking to my aunt about family and life stuff. Eventually, she said her only regret was not answering the phone the night her mom, my grandma, killed herself. Apparently, I had a good enough poker face because when my wife and I got back to our room, she said, "I thought your grandma died in a car accident." And I replied, "I did too." Once it's sunk in that I'd believed the initial lie for almost 20 years, the anger hit me. The anger that the only person that told me the truth was Brit. The anger that the only reason she told me was to hurt me and my dad. The anger that she would tell such a thing to a kid that wasn't even 10 years old to what? Win a fight? I can't believe they've been married for over 20 years. And I can't believe Brit was the only one to tell me the truth about how my grandma died. Update/edit. May 8, 2025. I can't believe the attention this got since I just wrote this to vent after a phone call with my dad on a Tuesday, lol. I really appreciate the commenters who shared similar stories. It's honestly crazy to me that this story has related to so many people. I wanted to address some comments about my dad. No one on Reddit or IRL can make him feel like a bigger failure of a father than himself. I got the coward gene from him, which is partially why I ran to Reddit with this story, because I didn't expect this much interaction. Now that I'm an adult, he frequently tells me how much he regrets not being in my life as much as he wanted when I was a kid, regrets how he didn't fight hard enough for me, missed milestones and big events, etc. But once I got to college he stepped up to help more often. He helped me get my starter car, and my second car after I totaled the first car. He is one of the only people in my life open to having tough conversations with me about relationships, politics, and religion. I guess I just wanted to defend him a little because, based on this one story, he may be seen as a coward, a doormat, or a failure of a father to some, but I see him as someone that tried his best to be a parent to me and a husband to a cold-blooded bitch, and failed a lot along the way, but never gave up on loving me all without an ulterior motive. Both Brit and my mom weaponized me against him and he took it for 20 plus years. But now, he's the only adult in my life that I can actively rely on when I face challenges. He's still married to Brit, and they do honestly seem to have a better relationship now that all the kids are grown and independent. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have my dad all to myself for once, but I'm just happy to have a dad that helps me as an adult, and continually tries to make up for the mistakes he made when I was a child.